All right, all right. What is going on, Solana ecosystem? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. As always, thank you for tuning in to another episode of RareFUD Radio. And as always, I am joined by my co-host. Let's bring up Joe Soul at first this time. Joe, how you doing, brother?
What's up? What's up? Very glad to be here, man. It's been a slow day in the market, but glad to hop here, Bison.
It is quiet in the market right now, and I'm sure Dorian would also agree with us. Dorian, how you doing today?
Hey, man, every day is a holiday. I'm happy to be here with you guys and ready to discuss all the things that are going on in the market.
Which ain't too much. I mean,
it ain't too much, dog.
Right now, we're looking like a slow market right now. I know everything's just kind of, it feels like it's sidelined. We're itching to get into some stuff. But it just feels like we're waiting for a catalyst, right? And I think one of those catalysts is definitely going to be Utes.
Yep.
Which, of course, what show would it be without us talking a little bit about Utes? So we'll get into Utes first. We'll talk about what Frank said. So Dorian brought up to our attention that two of the things that Frank finds as red flags when going through the scholarship application with Utes is a timeline full of retweet giveaways and lame mid-tier jokes. I think that is hilarious. Dorian, did you have any more information? Because I didn't hear or see anything that Frank tweeted about this with regards to hurting the Utes application.
Yeah, so he was just, I think this was just like one of the things, like as he was going through something just came to mind and he tweeted it out. But I still think it provides insight to other people who might have not applied yet. Like, hey, man, maybe I should go through to double check my timeline and rethink about how I've been contributing to this space. So, yeah, I was just scrolling through and I saw that Frank was like, hey, it's like I've been reviewing these applications and it's like if you've been retweeting a lot of giveaways, it's like it's a huge red flag. He didn't necessarily say that won't get you qualified for a Ute list, but one thing I recognize about the whole scholarship thing is trying to find those who actually provide value to the space. So if you're only doing retweet giveaways and it's like you're extracting value, what are you giving back and why should you be in such a community where we're taking time to go through and scan all of these things? And that's when I sent out a tweet. It's like, hey, whether you like it or not, your Twitter profile is kind of like your online Web3 brand right now. It's like, and under like within NFTs, there's a whole different sect. You can do your crap posters where you just punch a whole bunch of memes, but that still provides value in the space, especially during hard times. You can be alpha call, a content creator. So there's a wide array of things that provide value back. But if you go with the only lane of just trying to get as much as you can and to flip, you're only looking out for yourself. And I don't think Frank's trying to really bring those type of people in the community.
Right. Joe, do you have any response to that? Do you like this move? Do you don't like it? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think he's being a little satirical in his last saying, mid-tier jokes. I think he really means what Dorian said. Dorian said it beautifully. You got to bring something to the table and expect us to look at your Twitter and take that into consideration because we don't really have many things to take other than that, right? I mean, unless you put your Instagram or your LinkedIn or something like that and you're really doxing yourself, you don't have much else to go on. So you got to understand that. You might want to go and undo some retweets or, and clean it up like you would do a resume. It makes sense. So, yeah, Dorian, you said it beautifully, man. I agree.
Thanks, man.
What I did want to impose on was with the money on the sidelines with you, I do think a lot of these blue chips that we see are very low at the moment. I do think they'll rise again after Utes. So that's a speculation play to start finding some really good plays that you like, teams that are still there, communities that are OGs, and maybe find an entry or two, because I do think once this cycle goes through Utes and liquidity comes in the market, say we have a nice liquidity grab and crypto, and futures go up, we can see these blue chips come back to a standpoint where they're looking pretty good again. So yeah, don't be afraid of teams that are still working right now, even the floor price is down,
Well said, Joe.
You got to be contrarian. It's not hard. It's not easy to buy now, but this is how you look back and you go, wow, how did he have all these DGOTs? It's like, because he bought when things were low and not a lot of people wanted them, So you got to build your conviction plays, and it's hard. But yeah, you guys are smart enough if you're in this market like we are. And if you're watching us, you're definitely in this market. So for sure.
Well said, man.
Absolutely. No, I get it. My one thing with the Ute scholarship application is how much manpower is it going to take in order to go comb through these, and how much are they actually like scoping out through these. I agree with the whole, a timeline full of retweet giveaways. I think when strategically done, those giveaways can be good. They can bring attention to the right people, especially if you're an advisor for the project. That makes sense to me. But when it is a full timeline of giveaways, so you can try to, prop yourself up as a midfluencer or influencer, it does seem kind of scummy to me. It seems like, you're in it for more of yourself rather than as an advisor, in which case, when you do those retweets and stuff, I would, one, make sure that you tag it as like, hey, this is either an ad or sponsorship, or say I'm an advisor for this project and how I acquired this NFT, or some sort of in-game currency or anything like that, that you are giving away with this retweet. I would just say I'm an advisor, right? This is solely to raise awareness and everything like that. When you label it like that, to me, that's good for the ecosystem. I'm fine with it. When you're doing it too much or excessively, this seems more of a self-branding. I'm just trying to fill timeline up with nonsense that doesn't make any sense, and that's good. The mid-tier jokes thing cracks me up. I do think that Frank has maintained a really good sense of humor throughout. I'm sure this guy is cranking out like easily 12-hour days minimum, trying to get all this stuff in order, as well as the rest of the team. So props off to him. I think they did. We're speculating on when Utes are actually going to be released, right? That's one thing that I'm seeing in the market is not so much DGOD's floor price. DGODs have actually held up pretty well, finding a floor of about 280 right now after the Urcan dump, which we can talk a little bit about that. I think it kind of ties us into one of our points of marketplace volume, but we are seeing it in Dust. Dust is actually taking a little bit of a hit. Did top out around 180 or so, 185, and we are now sitting at about 1.39. And my speculation, my take on it is that people are seeing that, hey, it might be a little while longer than we expected for Utes yet again. It's gone from June, it's gone from July, it's gone from August, and it's just one of those capital holdups where a lot of people are like, hey, I just want the liquid on the sideline for anything that comes, any sort of opportunity, so I can grab it when I can. I think a lot of people are just trying to take profits as quickly as possible, which I have no problem with, especially in this market. But I think you have to see the longer picture. For me, the liquidity I tied up in Dust is sitting over there, right? I mean, I don't need it. I can certainly take some off the top and make sure that I have at least 375 in there, but I don't need it right now. And I hope that you are taking that trade as well. What are you guys' thoughts on the, I guess, timeline for Utes? And we'll go with Joe first.
Yeah, so timeline for Utes. I mean, I'm thinking end of September would be great. Personally, September, October. I think that's enough time to get some scholarships through, find a good set amount. See, the art's not even 100% done yet. It's the whole point of the game theory of putting it out first is to get reactions, see how people interact with it, and then read that and then make plays off of that. So it's all based off game theory. So speaking that in that lens, September to October for me would be an ideal time for them to drop Utes. And I mean end of September, like 20th pass. So that's just pure speculation. For me, I think it makes the most sense. I know people are waiting and holding, but I think it just the transition of it all should play out about right. And with Dust dumping, I think Frank made it clear that you did not need Dust in your wallet. A lot of people in this space are just coming in and they hear Utes and not sure about Dust or DGOD system. They bought a bunch of Dust. They go, wait, I don't even need this. They see it dumping and they sell it out. So I'm personally looking to accumulate again between the $1.40 to $1.15 range. And yeah, we'll play it out long term, like Bison said. We know this team isn't going anywhere.
Right. Dorian, do you have any speculation on what happens if Utes are really delayed until the end of September? I mean, that's a long time in NFT world where it's a month and a half. And if capital is still sidelined for it, we're going to see, what do you think we're going to see in the market?
Yeah, man. I think the market's waiting on Utes. So whether it releases at the end of September or in 2 weeks from now, I think the market is just all eyes are focused on that. And honestly, not much is going on right now. We're going to get into volume later, but I mean, what else is out there? Yeah, there are mints happening, but there's nothing that rivals the excitement and anticipation as Utes. So I think Utes should take as long as it needs to make sure everything's 100% ready to go to launch. And worst that happens is waiting. It's like, what, we get better market conditions? That's not bad at all. So it's like, there's no rush on my end. It's like, I know people want the UTs right now, but I think people's desire of wanting UTs as quickly as possible is to make liquidity as quickly as possible, not necessarily for the collection in and of itself. You get what I'm saying? So I just think it's nothing wrong. It's like Frank and the team can take as much time as they need to. It'll mint when it mints. I'm personally holding dust enough for the application. I know Joe was saying that Frank said, oh, you don't need it. But at the same time, it's like when they're reviewing that application and they're like, this person does have enough dust. You get what I'm saying? It's like just that little thing that might put you over the edge. So I'm holding dust. I don't care what it does because that dust is allocated for the whitelist specifically. So even if it goes to like 20 cents, I don't care because I plan on minting with that dust anyway. So, Absolutely. But yeah, man, that's my take on it.
I would say that, one of the things that I like about the curating process too, is that he's probably, with this curating process, you are probably going to get more people who are like EV positive for the project and the community itself versus like the flippers and the scalpers and like the kind of tired out whitelist meta that we're seeing. So that when UTs actually hits, it won't be a lot of liquidity chasers. It'll be people that are like actually wanting to be in the project and have a longer time horizon. I outlined this a little bit in one of my upcoming videos that there's 3 market participants, right? The value leeches. So the people who are quick flip, don't do anything to contribute to the community. They kind of sit on Twitter and don't really contribute anything of value on there. You have the investors who they might be looking to flip, but really they have a longer time horizon. They see the grander view of things. And then the enjoyers, right? The ones that are like, die hard, I'm in this project. I don't care if it goes to 0. I love what they're building. I'm going to contribute to the community. And really what you're trying to do is get to those enjoyers as well as investors, right? I think investors do help kind of be a market maker for some of these projects, add liquidity, add insights as far as a value add perspective versus value leeches who don't add anything. They're just in it to make the money, which go ahead and make your bread. I have no problem with it, but at least contribute something in the meantime, especially when we're in a down market right now. So it's my 2 cents. I think this curation process will actually, when it does release, we won't see a huge amount of listings hit the market like we do with some of these other ones where we're seeing like 20+% of these NFTs hit the market right off the rip. So I'm hopeful for it. I do see it as, a net gain. I'm just sure there will be people who take profits and, if it opens up at like 40 SOL plus, they're like, yeah, that's, let's say I paid 15 SOL or something like that for the dust. Like 3x. Yeah, exactly. So in this market, I'm sure there will be some people who are tempted by that. I see it as a great entry point. I'm not selling my UT if I get UT listed, but to each their own. Your risk tolerance is different for everybody. And when it comes to marketplace, though, we did have this little Urcan spat, which we don't really like to talk about drama and Twitter beef or anything like that. But it does bring up a great point where I think Yaw and now Solana Art, I don't know if you guys saw Solana Art V2, but they introduced a 0% market fee, a 0% creator royalty fees, like right off the rip. I think you can change it in there too if you do want to add those creator royalty fees. But we're starting to see a paradigm shift in how marketplaces are propping themselves up. And we're starting to see some market share actually go to Yaw. So Yaw actually clocked in yesterday with the 24-hour volume. They had a market share of almost 12%, which doesn't sound like much, but after a month and with Magic Eden so high up on its pedestal, looks like it may actually start churning some stuff. Now, I don't know about you. I want your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think this is organic volume, or do you think this is actually volume that may be propagated by the Urcans of the world who are just trying to make a point to Frank and like, hey, there's some backstabbing drama right there. I don't want to give you any royalties. I don't want to give any of the team royalties, which, to each their own. He still made the sale initially. So he did give them royalties when he bought. But 2, is this Yaw itself? Is it the marketing team? Is it just buying off Magic Eden, putting the listings on Yaw, and then trying to gain some sort of traction and volume there? Dorian, what are your thoughts on Yaw?
Yeah, man, I think Yaw does have a future in the ecosystem with 0% for royalties for the creators or whatnot, especially when I think their biggest advantage is when it's dealing with higher price NFTs such as DGods and taiyos or anything like above, I think that 40 to 50 mark, you're probably going to want to go to y'all, because it's like things aren't selling that much on Magic Eden, first of all. So it's not like super high volume when you have these collections at this high of tier. So you might as well take no fees on these things when they finally sell. However, I still think a lot of that new mint trading is going to happen on NFT just because it's going to happen on Magic Eden just because that's where the volume is. So it's like you're trying to get rid of that thing as quick as possible after mint for some profit. You don't care if it's going 7 to 10% fees going to the creator and the marketplace, because you're just trying to make, I don't know, 0.5 soul profit and get out of there and move on to the next one. So I still think within the higher echelon of NFTs, y'all is going to see a lot of dominance. But when it comes to like mints during a bull market and anything, I think sub 15, you're going to see Magic Eden really still hold a lot of volume there. And I think a lot of this recent volume on y'all is having to do with a lot of DGods. What, you sell several of those multiple times, your volume is going to tick up real quick.
Yeah. Joe, do you have any opinion? And also, I do remember at one time, especially when y'all came out, that Frank teased something about 5% royalties instead of 9.99. Do you know anything about that? Is there any update on the DGod side?
Yeah, so he did tease something about that just to see how the community would react. And most of us, we don't mind paying and selling our DGods on ME just because we know that's how the team eats. All these artists really do work endlessly. Like, there's so many guys on this team that just are literally all day networking and emailing, marketing. It's just a lot of work. So I don't mind. And I do shy away from people trying to pay zero. Like, you make 1,000% gain, dude, and you can't give up 30 soul of that to, creator or something such. So I'm not against, if you're going on y'all and say maybe you want 7% instead of the 9 and you're still giving back, to each his own. But for me, I'm with Dorian. I can see why there's volume going to y'all because people are greedy and people want to keep as much money as possible. So I can see y'all for sure getting bigger and having DGods be the first catalyst that brings liquidity into them. That could, and people start trusting it more and connecting their wallet. And you know what? Let me throw a couple on there. See what hits I get. So definitely, I can definitely see it taking traction and being up between that 15 to 25% market share rather than the 12% Bison said earlier. So. Yeah,
I'm actually incredibly I like that there's competition. I don't like how it came about, but I love that there's competition going on in the market. One, it just helps Magic Eden kind of refocus and everything like that and say, what can we do to actually add value rather than just sit on our laurels? Because the last thing I want to see happen is another OpenSea dominating the marketplace, right? Where OpenSea has done nothing innovative. They've literally had the same UI UX for I don't know how many months now. It's and a long time in the tech world and NFT world, which moves a lot. So the last thing I want is for Magic Eden to get comfy. So I welcome the competition. However, I do think that there has to be some sort of money that goes to the people that actually stems them, at least until we bridge this gap and we say, okay, what kind of revenue can we see NFTs actually bring on to help wean off of these royalties? I do think that eventually royalties are going to either completely diminish or be more in the reasonable range of sub 5%. I do think that 5% or less should be like the standard in my personal opinion. And I think that will pressure NFT projects to kind of think more in the sense of, hey, this is a business, not a project. And that's what I'm bullish on, right? I think that some of these projects should be thinking more like businesses rather than like, hey, we're just going to live off these royalties. We're going to have degens continuously churn out this volume, and that's what's going to feed us. I'm bullish on the fact that we are advancing as an ecosystem. Just hate how it came about, right? Like, whether it's a subsidy that the marketplace is like, hey, 1% of our marketplace fees goes towards paying the creator, and 1% gets taken off of the royalties on your end, right, as the consumer. That would be one way I'd go about it to kind of ease into this paradigm. But going straight to zero, especially right now, a lot of these projects are hurting. Volume's down incredibly, and I know a lot of these teams are looking to transition into revenue models that actually will be sustainable. But doing it so abruptly in a bear market, I think, is going to be kind of dangerous for some of these Web3 companies. I do think that we are going to see volume, like Joe said, kind of creep more towards that 25% even on y'all, especially in these bear times where if you can get that, I mean, like people are in survival mode right now. If you can get that spread of 5 to 10% on most of these projects back into your wallet rather than having to pay it, a lot of people are going to do that. I don't blame them either. I mean, this market is down bad right now. So I do think there is a world where there's a happy medium. I'm hoping, I do think you pay the artist, right? I will forever pay artist royalties on any secondary sale on one art. I don't think that's any different for generative art, so that's my 2 cents. But we do have some other entrants into the marketplace volume. Exchange art actually doing some numbers. They did about 7.4K in the past 7 days, according to Magic Eden statistics. That's no joke. I mean, that's coming from the one-on-one Solana art space. If you looked 6 months ago, it was pretty much a handful of people, a handful of collectors who had that foresight and went into that vision. Have you guys done any one-on-one art since we started talking about it? Have you guys looked into exchange art or form function at all? Joe, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I have. I'm actually been looking for a John Lay piece. I was actually bidding on the latest one he just dropped, and I got to about 98 soul and something like that was the highest bid. And then I woke up to 200 soul, and I was like, well, I'm out of this one. I had like 105 I was going to spend. I was like, I don't want to spend any more than 100 if it happens. But it's just, so that's my only, I look at exchange art every day. I haven't really purchased anything yet. But yeah, I'm definitely, my wheels are turning with it, and I have to pull the trigger soon, for sure.
Yeah. Dorian, have you explored the one-on-one space any at all recently?
Yeah, I have. Thanks to your alpha that you provided, on our last Tuesday show, our last Thursday. Yeah, Portraits of Aftermath, man. These like 3D animated images are just like sick, dude. So like right now, I'm leading on the Mantis. So none of you watching, don't you dare outbid me.
Oh, I'm going to. It's happening. I'm just doing it close. I never reveal my hand until we're about 30 minutes down to the wire. So I have my alarm set.
I have like an upper limit I'm willing to go. I guess I'll throw it out there of like, I don't know, like 25, 30 soul. So it's like, as long as it doesn't get beyond that, I think I'll be good.
Okay. Now I know I'm going to go to 31 soul. But no, it's a fun space to explore, and we can get into it at the end of the video, but it is nice to see. Like I said, maybe it forces Magic Eden to start taking the one-on-one space seriously. Maybe they have the infrastructure to do so. And really, that would be bullish for me. I would love to see more liquidity come to the one-on-one space. And I think Magic Eden would bring that. Now, I love exchange art. Actually, H brought it up in one of his tweets where he likes form function better. And I would have to wholeheartedly agree with this, that form function allows you to follow artists, which is really annoying not to be able to do on exchange art. So when you actually follow the artist, you can, get an alert that says, hey, a new auction just popped up. You don't have that on exchange art. I wish they did. But that's my one, pet peeve with them. Other than that, the exchange art UI is really fun to play with. It's really fun to see all these trending arts and everything in between. But so, moving on. Yes, absolutely.
Real quick, one last thing on one-on-one, just because it kind of ties back in with Utes as well. Like, I know when people are creating traits for Utes, it's like they have to keep the metadata the same. But could you like create animated traits while staying within the same metadata? Because that'd be pretty awesome to see like some of these 3D artists, one-on-one artists, like start creating animated Utes traits. And it's like the possibilities that can come out of like the traits and customizations that you can do is going to be insane.
Yeah. No, I'm sure they can edit it or at least airdrop something. At the very least, all you would do is airdrop an animated version of whatever one-on-one art that you got. I'm sure they could edit the metadata, but I'm sure there's also people who would be like, yo, I collected this piece for the static image, right? I thought the static image was beautiful. I would like to animate it as a separate one. So I'm sure we can see that. I know I did buy a Proteon edition. It was the Orion edition. He did airdrop a little token, and he hasn't said what it's going to be for. I'm very excited for it, but I love Proteon's work. We'll definitely be trying to chase this Mantis, but we'll see. I don't know. So High Blinks actually came in. High Blinks has a piece that I'm not sure if the auction ended right now, but I will go ahead and pull it up. A lot of big names were bidding on it, and man, it's a work of art, especially with I've been seeing a lot of mental health be at the forefront of a lot of people's talks these days, especially in a bear market. And I would have to agree, mental health. I mean, a lot of people when bull market's happening, it's fun staying in front of your screen all day, right? A lot of people like program themselves into thinking, hey, I'm gonna stare at the screen, I'm gonna make money, right? And now that money isn't really there, right? And your scalps are like 0.5 SOL, and 0.5 SOL is enough for lunch. So a lot of people are down bad right now, and I think it is good, but I cannot find it right now. I have to go to his Twitter, but we can move on in the meantime. So one of the things we wanted to talk about today was Phantom Wallet actually installed a new feature. Phantom Wallet, you can actually burn NFTs now. So the spam NFTs that you're sending to trash.sol or whatever you were doing with them can now be burned for, I think it's about 0.002 SOL. That's fun. I know Soul Incinerator, you could do the same thing, but it's nice being able to do that in the app. Guys, have you explored this feature at all? We'll go with Dorian first.
I have not explored it, but I can't wait to do so. I know there's a lot of like projects that came out where like you can, like you said, send your NFT to like burn it and you get something in exchange. But honestly, man, I've been always scared to touch those damn things. Sorry, to touch those things. It's just like I don't want to like risk anything. So like having an in-app feature to just burn it right there is like I'm completely fine with using. And I have like so much random things. I got bubblegoose kids, like secret Santas. I guess Anatoly sent me an NFT as well. I need to go to several websites. So it's like all this stuff is in there that I just can't wait to get rid of.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Joe, have you explored the burn NFT feature yet?
No, but I'm doing it as we speak. I just burned a bunch of, like, it's cool. It's in the 3 dots right above the NFT. Just hit that, either view on SoulScan or burn all tokens.
Right. Yeah. No, it is. It's a lot of. It's nice to be able to clean up. I'm hoping that eventually, maybe one day, we get like folders that are able to be installed within the Phantom app, so I can go ahead and drop. For instance, Remnants had multiple different mints, and within those mints, they're separated into different collections. I'd love to just be able to throw everything, including camps and everything like that, into one folder. That would be nice. Now, I'm not sure how they do that because it does have to, that would have to be like a merge of Web 2 and Web 3 stuff. So unless Solana, the chain, actually installs folders itself, I'm not sure how that would work out, but it would be nice to see. It is good to see these burn scam NFTs being able to just go away from your wallet and getting paid for it. I mean, it is 0.002 SOL, but when SOL hits $1,000 again, hey, you're looking at $20 right there, right? So
hey,
yeah,
I'll take it.
Well, I'll take $20 for burning those scam. You keep sending those spam tokens my way, I'll keep burning them. But it is a fun mechanic. I'm glad they installed it. And it just does help out tremendously, especially on the mobile side of things. Yeah, it's alpha. You get $20 right there. You go ahead and send me a spam right there. I'll take you for $20. Moving on, though, we do have one mint that's going on today and tomorrow. If you do have whitelist,
quick question, Bryson. Might be stupid, but who owns Trash.Sol? Because they might be in the money, baby.
Oh, dude, that is
burn like
call.
Burn like 10,000 a day, looking at like 20 SOL.
Yeah, what do you think about that, bro? Holy,
Yo,
they're sitting in a gold mine right now.
I know, right?
Cool. I wonder if I can acquire that that wallet for on the low. Be like, yo, I'll give you 100 SOL for that right now.
I was like, man,
that's smart. Holy,
they just came up,
bro. I've given like 2 SOL to that guy, man.
Really,
good lord. Well, we do have a mint today, happening today. It is tomorrow for public, but we do have Sentries. So Sentries is Bifrost's second mint. I'm very excited to see how they kind of continue on from the Fruits mint. Fruits did exceptionally well for a time being. I haven't really seen it be relevant since, but they did about 70K in volume in a bear market, right? So that's good. I thought the mint itself went off flawlessly. I thought the whole project itself, during those week or two of relevance, until they, everybody goes up on that relevance factor of initial hype on the mint. And then they kind of crash back down into where I would consider their actual adjusted value should be until they start building stuff, right? A lot of people don't have anything built out for the next 6 months, and maybe they see some relevance again. Nonetheless, they did have a very successful mint on Bifrost. A lot of people were saying that Bifrost is the best launch pad, so we'll see how they handle the Sentries mint. Guys, have you looked at Sentries at all? What are your thoughts on it? We'll go with Joe first.
So, no, the only time I saw it was actually when I was going into my Mercury to obtain some whitelists. And I saw that they're like an infrastructure that's deploying some type of validators and nodes. So that's actually pretty cool if they can do that in a really good fashion, because I know that's like utter chaos. A few other projects have tried to do validators as like their core utility, and it doesn't really work out too much because you can obviously stake with other validators easily and such. So if they can do a cool rev share kind of deal with this, it might be pretty cool. The art looks cool, and like you said, Fruits did well on Bifrost. I can see some hype. People are bored. I can definitely see this doing pretty well.
Absolutely. Dorian, have you explored Sentries at all?
Yeah, one of the things that jumped out to me was their whole flex to earn aspect of the project, and that fits within my what I've been like harping on for like the past several weeks. This whole engage to earn meta that's coming up. It's like figuring out a way to like financially reward your holders by like engaging with your content. I think is really going to be key. And the projects that are able to do this and reward their holders the most, especially during the bull market, we're going to see them really succeed. So I like how their unique way of flexing to earn through Twitter and stuff, it provides value back to their holders in that way. So it'll be great to see like how Zoots does and how bubblegoose does and how Pilots does in a bull market.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick, because one thing that stood out to me, like Joe was saying, is the fact that one, you can, let me go ahead and pull up the screen. When you actually go through staking, they do have this power staking method. So they're setting up infrastructure, which I've always been bullish on. I love the fact that some of these projects are actually contributing to the ecosystem to make it better, set up more nodes, set up more decentralization. It's good. I love to see it. What I like about power staking, though, is that it's integrating the NFT with staking. So when you stake Sol with the platform itself, the node that they set up, you actually get some upgraded aesthetics with the Sentry itself. So like when it says at a high enough power level, Sentries can unlock the Celestial trait. So get this cool skin, this like nice gradient, translucent skin. Looks pretty sick to me. I like the idea of, like you said, Dorian, this kind of culminates everything into engage to earn, not only on the PFP side, rocking it on Twitter and everything like that, bringing awareness to the project, but actually having some sort of utility in it as well. Whereas when you stake it, so your power level goes up for each Sol that's locked into the load, which is the node that they're setting up here, you actually get some cool traits with it. So for me, that's pretty cool. That's a good way to get Sol onboarded onto there. Not only are they using a 5,000 from the mint funds, and half the royalties are going into the load itself, but you're actually seeing a gamified version of staking in a different sense. It's not staking within your ecosystem, it's staking within the Solana ecosystem, which is, I think it's very cool. I think it's very interesting. One of the aspects that we have with Bifrost, though, is that they're going with the Dutch auction method yet again. So it's going to be mark to market. It's going to find its floor price pretty simply. Guys, do you have any idea if Dutch auction is the right way to go? Do you think it's the right way to mint, especially in this market? Let's go with Dorian first.
Yeah, man, like doing a Dutch auction in this type of environment, it's really risky in my opinion. It's like there's not a lot of volume going on out there. You must be confident in the levels of hype and excitement that you have around your project to be able to do something like this. I know if I was managing the project, I'd probably like try to set a standard mint rate and just try to go at that instead of like, hey, it's like this thing's gonna gradually drop slowly and you guys decide when you want to get in. I'm like, that's heck risky to me.
Right. Joe, what are your thoughts on Dutch auctions? Have you participated in any of them, and what do you think about them?
Yeah, Dutch auctions are fun. I've definitely I've done it. I'm trying to think the recent one that I did was I think it was way back for Nuked Apes. I think I had a Dutch auction that I did for them. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to do in the bull market when money's flying around and you're just switching some things up. But right now, people kind of want to know exactly how much they're going to spend, how can they allocate that enough money, and changing it and having a fluctuating standpoint might not bring in a lot of volume. You might just a niche amount of people like that, So
yeah,
I think its market sentiment is not great for it at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the market to be doing it in. The only reason I say that is because short term, sure, you're finding your floor price dynamically. I think that's great. In the short term, it does help give people idea of like, hey, this is what the floor price is going to open up at. We'll try to either nab it on secondary, or this is a good price for me to mint at. The long run effects, though, for me, is that most of these projects that are minting out in Sol, you can't pay developers in Sol. You can't pay your marketers in Sol. I mean, you might be able to on some of these, right? Some people that actually value the Solana ecosystem, but a lot of these people, contractors, outside influences or anything like that, they're going to want to get paid in USD or euros or the pound or anything like that. So for me, it's hard because the longevity of the project is now tied to, hopefully you found a floor price pretty quick and we're staying at 2 SOL or whatever the initial price is going to be, versus now we have variability. Now we can't budget correctly. They already said 5,000 of the Solana is going up into the node itself. What does that leave you with as far as your operating expenses? This is very curious to me. I don't know if it'll sustain, especially in this market, but I do think that once we hit that bull run again, it'll actually be really good for projects to actually capture the value of a rising SOL floor, right? Because when you actually start going up in value, well, then the project is capturing it and not the traders, right? So that would be my 2 cents on it. I'm not sure if it's a viable strategy right now. Do you guys have any? Yeah, go ahead, Dorian.
I agree with you, man. It's like, for me, it's like a lot of these mints that are happening now, it's like, yeah, even if it mints out, like it'll fall immediately to below mint, like not even a day or so after it mints out. So my whole strategy right now, and it's like I'm not even participating in mints because the upside is too small compared to me just picking up it on secondary 3 or 4 days after a mint. As we've been talking about, there's just a hot ball of liquidity rotating around. So if your project isn't hype enough and captures the attention of the market, it's like it's not going to outperform the market in the sense of you're not going to see a 2 to 3x. So you're better off just waiting on the sidelines. And if you're thinking about minting a project, you're probably in the best interest just waiting until like the market turns around instead of trying to mint in this environment. We saw this even with Rug Revenant. Solid team, great game, great vision, but it's just like, man, people aren't, the floor can't sustain itself right now. And it's not a good time to mint.
Yeah, absolutely. My question for you guys, one thing that just came up in my mind is, do you think Dutch auctions would be more successful if you had insta reveal, or would it be better to have delayed reveal like we've been seeing a lot of after the whole instant listing thing?
I think, go ahead, Joe, you can go.
Kind of indifferent with, I feel like if you're buying it, once you've bought it, you know what? That's a card. I'm indifferent. I could either way. When I buy an NFT, I'm buying it because I already know about it prior and I know why I'm buying it. So the reveal to me, unless I'm doing like a big allocation, to me, it's, I'll ride the wave when it hits. So I don't like to think too far ahead of things. And speculate, especially with art reveals. I kind of wait till either it happens or doesn't and then read the room.
Absolutely. Dorian.
I personally love art reveals just because I feel like it's another step of hype after the mint. It's a way to continue the hype, and it's always exciting to me. I mean, growing up, I used to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards, so it's just like opening that pack of cards is like the equivalent of waiting for your NFT to be revealed. And that feeling is just like, oh man, it's like waiting till the day. It's like, and of course you know it's going to dump after that, but it's still exciting leading up to it. So I personally enjoy the reveal.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm leaning towards too, is if they're going to go with the Dutch auction, I think instant reveal would kind of give them so let's say you're minting, right? Let's say you have enough funds set aside for 3 mints if you want to, but you're kind of like, well, if it's not revealing until afterwards, I'll just see how the secondary plays out. Maybe I'll mint 1 or something like that, versus you mint and you're like, oh, this looks pretty good, but I think I can do better, right? Like let's see if I can hit the lotto again real quick and go ahead and mint and see what you get on the second time or a third time, or, it just kind of cascades from there, because we're degens right now. So I think the Dutch auction system works better with those instant reveals, whereas the traditional way we're minting kind of works better with those post reveals, especially with instant listings as well. I think I'm kind of turning around to, if Dutch auction is the way, I think you need to go with instant reveal as the way to reveal the art, instead of kind of the delayed reveal where, you kind of wait for floor price to find itself, like we saw with Rakudos, which, by the way, this project to me sounds like everything I wanted Rakudos to be. Like Rakudos could have set all of this up, and they didn't. You know, they basically said we're gonna form a community, and they completely fumbled the bag. And I don't even know what Rakudos are at right now. I'm pretty sure they're at like 3 SOL. Yeah, they're below mint, which yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing over there, but nonetheless, I do think this is something to keep your eye on. I think Sentries sounds promising. The art's kind of mid to me. I don't think the art is like super standout, but the celestial skin, the art upgrades that you get for staking Sol, it's a really cool mechanic to me. So I'd love to see people build on this topic, build on this idea on future mints. So with that said, guys, I think we're out of show notes. Do you guys have any alpha that you guys are looking at? Any projects that are coming up? Any mints? I know, Joe, we were talking about Eries last time. I was asking you about it before. Do you have anything to share about Eries? Joe?
I
think he's
Push
vibing
it
over
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
We are good to go. But yeah, so Eries, man, it's I'm going speculation off of timing play here. So an October Halloween drop timed with their probably Halloween themed merch that's supposedly pretty dope. They have cool tokenomics, really cool sneak peeks they just dropped. The community's pretty decent, AMAs all the time, and they've been around for a few months now. So it's a whitelist that I'm looking to get because it's easy at the moment. Not a lot of people are talking about it, and it could flop. But the more and more I'm listening, I mean, they have Twitter AMAs almost every other day for months now. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes. They dropped a sneak peek of a project hub, which has basically been in the development since they started, and it's like an Erieverse. So and everyone will own private land, accessible to holders only. They'll be hosting events there with fellow people, with like parties. It's like a whole metaverse that they're building out as well. But it's like more dark and eerie feeling. So yeah, I mean, there's always general updates. They explain exactly why and how they've waited and what they're doing for whitelist submissions and what will the Eries mint occur and what the funds will do. So I mean, they've literally laid out everything. So I mean, for a project to mint for a decent price, I think this might be a low supply 4444. I mean, it could have some legs.
Yeah.
Could have some legs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. That's one to check out. It doesn't sound like it's going to mint for another month or so, right? At the very least, they're trying to prep. Yeah. Okay. One to check in on. Dorian, do you have anything that you're scoping out right now?
Man, I'm just trying to stack Sol right now, man. It's like the market's kind of weird. I already got my bags packed for like of all the projects that I wanted to get on a discount. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable about a lot of my positions in these projects. So I'm just really trying to stack liquidity. So if we have a further dip or if the market does turn around, either I'm taking profits in Sol or it's like, hey, the NFT bull market's back on. Now I have liquidity to play with. But as of right now, man, nope, just stacking Sol.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things I was trying to share earlier is the High Blinks that actually sold for 134 Sol, which shouts out to High Blinks. He was the one who came in on Proteon's Pandora. Was the first one, and I guess Pandora is the one that people are targeting right now. But the 134 Sol, this is a great piece right here. Right now, it's talking about mental health. I really love the texture it has to it. If you look real closely, you can see kind of the texture pattern within the whole canvas itself. But just talking about the emotions that people wear, and just I think it's a really cool piece. You see some really one of the things I'll say alpha wise on 101 art is when you see notable artists, especially like John Lay Studio. Not Bungeal. Bungeal was bidding on this as well. Laydow. When you see people like this bidding on it, probably. Oh, and Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve has been going stupid lately with his bids. He was one of the top collectors in the past 24 hours, and I know he bid on some of Proteon stuff as well. But when he starts seeing,
is this Proteon or how do you? Why
no,
Proteon?
I'll show.
He's starting to his older stuff. There's some feedback going on, but I listened to his older, some of his older stuff for like 1 old, but now he's up to 30 plus.
Yeah, I think people are just starting to catch on, man. It's that's one of the exciting things about one-on-one art is that you start seeing these people like, hey, these are really good artists. Like let's start scooping these off secondary and stuff like that of some of the older work. So yeah, it's one of those things that I always look for notable artists that are bidding on these pieces as well. And that's usually a good sign of like, hey, this is well respected in the art community. It's probably going to be something that if it doesn't pop now, will probably be something that pops in the future, especially if they keep having a nice cadence of work. Like I always say, where they're not just putting out pieces every single day or putting out batch work or anything like that if it doesn't make sense. He put out 2, Proteon did, Portraits of the Aftermath, which I think is totally fine given that this is going to be a 1-on-1 series of different characters within this plasma verse that he's talking about. So very cool. I absolutely love these pieces. I love the music that goes with them as well. And so I'm excited to see this 1-on-1 art continue to develop, continue to gain traction. 7.4K on and we don't even see what form functions volume is too on some of these volume charts. I haven't seen it on any of them, but I know it's definitely notable. Exchange is definitely the preferred way for a lot of people to collect this 1-on-1 art right now. Nonetheless, we give some 1-on-1 art some love today. Dorian, what's on your mind?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to see what happens with this 1-on-1 art in the future, man. Like, especially when the market comes back, like, will these projects begin to work, will these 1-on-1 artists begin to work larger projects and help support them? And like, because we saw how much traction youth got. John Lane announced that they'll be his art director. So how many other projects in the bull market are going to get these notable people that notable 1-on-1 artists work on their project now to really hype them up during the next bull run. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to play out well. Nonetheless, guys, any closing remarks before we go ahead and end the show?
No, man. Just stack that soul, DCO when you can. And just go touch some grass, man. Hug your loved ones. Go see some people you love and have some
time to be doing it for sure.
Some positive out there, fellas. Love y'all, man. Appreciate you, Bison. Appreciate you, Dorian.
Yes,
appreciate
likewise.
You, man. Appreciate you, Bison. I love streaming with you guys.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of RareFUD Radio. We will see you again on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we always do, and next Thursday as well. We'll see you on the next